In the last few days, and we had questions were asked pertaining to the availability of the ZWL to settle imports.
However, economic analyst Professor Gift Mugano says while recent measures have worked, a permanent solution in stabilizing the Zimbabwe dollar lies in buttressing local production of goods.
It's a common factor that the strength of any currency in any country is reflected in the country's productive capacity. I'm quite refreshed when I look at what the Ministry of Agriculture is doing on driving production across their subsectors. If you look at our imports in April, total imports this year were $701 million. You are aware that the statutory instrument was enacted in May, and total imports in May is $851 million. What it means is that our imports within a month have jumped by $150 million.
Government continues to come up with measures aimed at anchoring current stability while also ensuring that the market is not suffocated with liquidity challenges, which is the lifeblood of a fully functioning economy. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
Still with business news, we turn to farming now, with wheat production expected to hit 408,000 metric tons this year, representing a 9% increase from just over 375,000 tons achieved in 2022, on the back of increased hectarage, of course. And in the studio to discuss this and other related issues, we have young people in agriculture. We have Patrick Ndowa. I believe you're a bit of multi-talented young man, and I've always asked how young people are inspired to be a part of farming. Welcome back to Good Morning Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much.
We had actually missed you, and we want to have you on the show a lot more. Now, as young people in agriculture, do you think that the set target is achievable of these huge metric tons?
Well, personally, I think that young people can actually drive this nation forward when it comes to issues to do with agriculture, because when it comes to the ideas, the knowledge, the power, the energy, young people have the energy. So according to my own opinion, I think it's achievable and it's feasible with this current state that we're in.
Now, just having a look at certain countries that are very advanced in terms of their agriculture, countries such as Israel, some countries such as Germany, and many other places, we have noticed that the technology and advancement in agriculture. In terms of Zimbabwe, have you adopted any of these elements of technology, and what sort of strategies do you believe can anchor this bumper harvest?
Well, personally, I'm a student of electronics and telecommunications engineering, and that's what I'm doing in school. I'm still at UZ, and that's why I'm studying electronics and telecommunications. So me venturing into agriculture, I've seen more like a gap, especially in these third world countries, where we are just doing agriculture, but without embracing technology, without embracing digital technology in it. So in my own opinion, or my goal or my aim, is to revolutionize the agriculture sector in Zimbabwe and other third world countries, where we put in technology in agriculture. You don't merely need to be there physically to have a hoe, to have a tractor, being on the farm and being there physically. Sometimes we need to use agriculture, to use technology to see how we manage. For example, you can use sensors to see the temperature, maximum temperatures that are required, the minimum temperatures, the water levels, humidity, all those things, even to test the nutrients that are required. We can use technology, and that's the reason why we as engineers, or we as people who are into technology, as young people, we need to put that aspect that is not being utilized in agriculture in Zimbabwe and other third world countries. So I believe that as young people, it's something that we can bring in the mix to bring a change, and also probably to bring bumper harvests in the addition of what is being done currently.
So can we safely use the term agri-tech?
Yes, we can actually use the term agri-tech.
Now, I don't think agri-tech will work without a power source, and ZESA has assured farmers that dedicated power supplies for their operations will be availed. Do you think the power has always been the missing link?
Well, I think the power has always been the missing link. That's why if you have really noticed, if you have been following the digital trends as well as the global trends, we are moving into the use of renewable energy and more use of solar energy. As Zimbabwe and even as other African countries, we are very, very gifted and we are very, very much privileged to have the gift of solar energy, windmills, renewable energy that we can actually utilize. Currently, people who are into solar energy are actually making money. Why? Because even if you look, even in households, even in commercial, in commercial setups, they are moving from the use of depending on ZESA and they're using the efficient use of solar energy. So I believe that in most of our farms, it would be good to make use of solar energy, to put solar powers
And work off the grid.
Exactly, and work off the grid.
Now, looking at the private sector, they have a target of 150,000 tons of winter wheat output this year. With funding from banks, what is your take on the private-public collaborations?
Well, I think it's actually a good move that was done by the government to put a link. Because as much as I have noticed, in Zimbabwe, most of the produce, the farming produce, is coming from smallholder farmers. Even in the past, even before colonization, white farmers, before even young people were in agriculture, before even black farmers were into agriculture, most of the agricultural produce came from smallholder farmers. And I mean smallholder farmers, I mean like rural farmers who are just doing small pieces of land. All those small pieces of land with 1 million or with even 100,000 young farmers or even old farmers
They
combined
contribute.
together, it brings about big numbers. So I think it's a good move to try to collaborate and see how it can work out. At the end of the day, what you want is just national development as well as production of wheat and other farming produce. You remember Zimbabwe used to be the breadbasket of Africa.
And it still is a target within our
Exactly.
economy.
It's now a target, but it used to be the breadbasket of Africa. So we are now trying to come back to that glory where we become the breadbasket of not only Africa, but even the globe at large.
Now, it really brings me joy that a young person like you is driving this. Normally, I think people under 30, like you and I, not me, obviously, but people under 30 have always gone for tech jobs, the suit and tie jobs, the sort of semi-glamorous ones. And there's a renaissance in terms of careers. It seems like young people like you are driving agriculture forward. Now, what incentives should be availed to promote young people participating in agriculture? Because clearly, I didn't know that people could use drones and tractors that are operated remotely. What incentives do you need as young people so that you get more into agriculture?
Well, I think that the first thing that is needed for young people is ownership of land.
Okay.
That's the most important aspect, ownership of land. Young people who have the vision, the goal to drive the nation when it comes to agriculture should be given land. I still remember there was a program that was given to farmers, the 99 yearly seeds program. And that program actually, it gave banks the confidence to invest in the farmers. Why? Because they knew that the farmers owned the land. So I think as young people, personally, I don't own land. The land that I'm actually doing my farming right now is a land that I'm actually renting. So imagine if I own the land and then I can invest in the land, and knowing that this land belongs to me probably for the next 10, 20 years.
And your children and your children's
exactly,
children.
And my children and my children. And then it becomes more like a family trade. My child is going to do agriculture on that same land. So which means I will take care of that land. In addition to that, I think we need to lure more young people into agriculture by not using the old methods that were used long ago. We now need to come up with new ideas that can lure more young people to see the benefits of agriculture. And the government needs to support also young people. And I feel like we also need to create more like an environment where young people feel comfortable to do agriculture, because we are in a setup where young people need to do tech jobs. They want to slay on social media, and you can't slay with
when you're hungry,
with mud, with crops in the garden. So I think we need to more like influence more young people to tell them that when it comes to real production, it comes from agriculture. Allow me to say that when God created man in the Garden of Eden, actually when God created man, he planted a garden east of Eden, and then he assigned Adam to look after the garden. That was the original plan of education. So I believe that if we need to go back to the original plan that God instituted for us, We need to go back to the basics, agriculture.
And you know what? And I wish we could have a lot more time with this young man, Patrick Ndowa. I'm sure you're going to give us your social media handles,
Yeah,
because
sure.
there is a debate that I've seen about colonial education and how it made English mandatory and agriculture an option. So it means we've got a lot of great English speakers, but not so many young people like you who can farm. Where can people find you on social media? And if you people want to get more on agri tips, I'm sure this is an opportune moment for you to become a speaker at many other platforms other than the national broadcaster.
Thank you so much. So if you want to catch me on social media, on Twitter, my Twitter handle is Patrick Ndowa ZW. On Instagram, it's Patrick Ndowa.zw. On Facebook, it's Patrick Ndowa. So I'm a politician and also at the same time, I'm an agricultural person. So I don't use fancy names. I just use my basic names. So catch me on those social media handles.
Wow, these are the kind of young people that we need to keep having in our country. And we're going to wish him goodbye and follow him on social media. And please, if you really believe in the message that he's sending, please, by popular demand, I would really lobby to have him here every now and then, because he's a gem to have on TV. This takes us now to news from